Okay, this one. This one is a case of steam turbine bearings getting wiped several times after something went wrong in the plant. We end up in this facility that basically was coming out of a scheduled outage. They weren't in a forced outage. And they had performed planned maintenance on their lube oil system. They knew they had been experiencing varnishing problems. In fact, they'd seen the bathtub ring in the lube oil reservoir. They could see right at the liquid level line this formation of varnish. They knew they had to clean that out. So they went in and they tried pressure washers. They tried hydrolasers. They did the various mechanical means to remove that varnish ring. And none of those were completely successful. So the next thing was to use a solvent flush. Well, when this solvent flush was performed, there was a step in the procedure. Basically, you do the valve line up, get ready to do the flush, get ready to put the solvent in. And before you do that, you put jumpers around the bearings. You don't want to flush all that crap and varnish down into your bearings. So you have to put jumpers around them. Well, the jumpers were going to take extra time. And the plant basically lined through that step and said, no, we don't need to do this. Just keep going. And they flushed the varnish down into the bearings. So the insurance company engineer came out and he was he wanted to have the temperature and vibration data of these bearings going back to the beginning of the life of the plant, something like 15 years. He was looking for some wear and tear argument, some trend, some reason to basically say that the whole plant was falling apart. That's why all three bearings fell apart. It had nothing to do with anything that the people were doing to the plant, and that, basically it's just old and it shouldn't have been covered. That was his position. He wrote a 27-page report to basically state that he didn't find a cause, sudden or otherwise, that led to the damage on the three different bearings. Okay, he didn't find that. Well, that's when I asked the plant manager, send me all of your reports of your lube oil. And I looked at all the lube oil reports. I saw what they had done. I asked for the lube oil flush test procedure, and I saw in there where they'd lined through the procedure and they basically skipped that step that would have protected the bearings. So I had a conversation with the plant manager. I said, look, this is what's in here. We can get this covered. It was $2.5 million. We can get this covered, but you guys are going to have to admit that, what you did here probably wasn't the right thing to do. That, had you had the time, you wouldn't have done it. And he agreed to do that. He agreed that they would eat crow, or basically admit that they skipped a step, and that was poor workmanship. So present that to the insurance company engineers. And actually, it was not to the engineer who wrote the 27-page report, but his boss. And his boss, his famous statement was that, well, there's no dumb shit exclusions. That's what he said. So they basically reversed their position, and the adjuster then was free to reverse his position, and that was a claim that was successfully paid.